Well, I made it up to take 11 now. So I figure I deserve a shot. Yeah, it's a double. Do you blame me? Maybe if I'd have started drinking earlier, I'd have gotten through this a lot faster. So give me a second. Oh, okay. I have been following Mama Cat for a while, following her blog, and really interested in her writing workshop. But even though I would watch the prompts and think, it'd be fun to just find one and start writing. I've been someone who hasn't liked writing ever since I was in grade school, and those were some of my worst grades. But for some reason, when I started my blog a couple of years ago, I saw something change. Um, it could have been the alcohol. I don't know. Maybe not. But I did notice that even when I wasn't drinking, I was seeing a difference in my writing. I'm still working on it, and I'm not perfect, and there are times when I stumble and I get a lot of writer's block. But I figure after being someone who absolutely hated to write anything to going to actually looking forward to writing blog posts, I figure that's a good thing. Unfortunately, even though I would look at the prompts and think, that'd be great, I should get involved, I should start writing again, purposefully writing, something like that. I could never quite find one that spoke to me and said, okay, let's write, until this week. And so, as you can guess, I'm not writing. But one of the options was to do a video and tell the story on how your blog title came to be. And I thought, well, that'll kill two birds with one stone because it'll allow me to participate in the workshop and also tell the story of how the Utah hostage came to be. So you may or may not know that I used to live in Texas. I grew up in California and then I lived in Texas. I really enjoyed it there. It was great. For somebody who grew up in the Central California Valley, living in Texas, East Texas, was amazing. I fell in love with it. So I couldn't have thought of a better place to go from California. And unfortunately, some financial struggles hit and we had to leave. Excuse me. And so there wasn't any way around it, really. The move to Utah came from having family resources here. My husband at the time was laid off from his job. He was the primary breadwinner of the family. And unfortunately, it was going to be a struggle to stay in Texas when he didn't have a job. So he had family here and wanted to go to school, and moving to Utah was going to give him an option to go to school and allow us to have a support structure. So I didn't have a blog at the time, but I was posting on MySpace and MSN Spaces. Um, Nothing big. It was mostly people that followed me through Instant Message or close friends. And at the time, my wonderful friend Tanya, who I've known since high school, um, she had a blog and listed me in her blog role. And the way that she had listed me was Stacy the Utah Hostage, and then linked to my, I think it was MSN Spaces at the time. And it was funny. She came up with the name. And I just thought it was cute because it was appropriate, because, it was explaining about how my temporary Utah living arrangement was not of my choosing. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. Not my first choice, I guess, is probably the way I want to explain it. But so when it came time that I decided to actually start a blog and put it together, I couldn't think of a better name. How could I be anything but the Utah Hostage? It was perfect. So when I started coming up with my title, I started playing around with the nickname and figuring out a way to um, be entertaining and yet still show my point. And that was how Still a Utah Hostage came to be. And the tagline was a little more difficult. Uh, it started with, telling stories of a near 40-year-old or something to that effect. And then, of course, when I actually turned 40, it was a now 40-year-old. And then nothing quite seemed to fit. Whatever I thought of to be as part of the tagline, nothing ever quite seemed to support being a Utah hostage. Until recently this year, I came up with, and I've totally forgotten exactly what it is right now, but something to the effect of stories of the hostage crisis and my bouts with Stockholm Syndrome since 2008, because there are some good things to Utah, like that many. And anybody who lives here in Utah, don't cram my comments with, how can you hate Utah? We're not even going to get into that. But for me, there's about this much good. And it usually entails looking at those mountains over there, those mountains over there, or is there anything else good to look at? I don't know, maybe. But Utah's pretty. For me, it's pretty without a lot of substance. But that's just me. And my temporary situation has become not so temporary. I've been in Utah for almost 10 years now. And it doesn't look like the hostage crisis is going to end anytime soon. So I am just taking advantage of it and writing about the good and the bad. And I can't think of a better way to do it as, anything other than the Utah hostage. But the funny thing is that I don't think Tanya had any idea how much it was going to take off. I didn't know when I first started the blog and came up with the title. I had no idea how much it was going to stick. And it has. It's stuck. People know me as the Utah hostage. And I have friends literally all over the world now that I have met through my blog and through Twitter and through Tumblr. And they know me as the Utah hostage. Well, granted, they know me as Stacy too, but it's one of those pleasant surprises that now I don't know what's going to happen when I finally do leave Utah. Not that it identifies who I am, but that I won't even know what to come up with. How do you top that? It was perfect. So I've not told her yet. I mean, I've asked her if she ever thought that this nickname was going to stick like it did, and she said no. But thank you, Tanya. Thank you. The joke, the nickname, it was all worthwhile. Absolutely. And I have never had one regret about it. In fact, I like saying that I am the Utah hostage. So if that ever changes in the future, I guess you and I are going to have to put our heads together and figure out something else. We'll figure it out. So hopefully that explains how the crisis came to be. And maybe in the near future, I'll be looking for some input on, what happens next. But as long as I'm in Utah, that's who I am. So I hope you'll continue to check out Still a Utah Hostage. I'm trying to post more often, and hopefully this will be a start. And I'm kind of thinking that the shot definitely worked. So hope you guys have a good night. Talk to you later. Bye.